Hi, my name is Daphne, and today we are reinforcing our garden beds. So some of the garden beds are about, I would say maybe a foot high to hold in the leaves and the grass that will be used as mulch for the upcoming season and for the garden beds to rest during the winter. But some of the beds are really ground level, and the leaves are just blowing all over the garden beds and on the walking paths as well. And so I need them to be a little higher up, and that would be great next year for weed control. So what I am doing is I purchased some garden stakes at Lowe's, really cheap, like plywood, cut them in half, and then I'm nailing them into the ground about halfway up. And then I'll be taking some mulch, some like, what do you call it, like weed barrier cloth, but it's plastic, and I'll literally just be wrapping it around the posts, just to make a little garden bed. Now it's not sustainable, these won't last forever, but they are enough to hold the leaves and soil in place, and then over the years I'll just replace them with wooden beds. So it's just a really cheap way of having garden beds until you can afford the wood, because wood is expensive. So I'll take you with me through the process of just making these really cheap garden beds, and then filling these up with the leaves that I've collected from my wonderful neighbors. So if you're interested, keep watching, and I'll show you how to make a very cheap garden bed that's actually functional. So let's get to it. So I have finished with the two garden beds that needed the most work, and I'll show you what it looks like. It is real plasticky, as it is plastic weed barrier cloth, but it will hopefully hold in the moisture, because last year, well, this season, those two beds did dry out a lot. So I'm hoping that I don't have to water as much. I'm pretty sure I'm only going to get about a season or two, well, a year or two worth of growth out of them, but that will give me enough time to save it for wood, as mentioned. So I'll show you what they look like. All right, so I think, I'm always weird with math. I think it's about a foot up, and I forget the measurements for how long these beds are, but yeah, the reason I wanted to lift them up is just to get them off the ground, but also so I can fill these beds up with leaves, and yeah, just have a raised garden area. And as mentioned, I will be replacing these beds slowly but surely with wooden beds or aluminum beds over time. But this is how the garden looks. And this material here is landscape fabric. But I'm noticing that with this material, it dries out so very quickly. It doesn't hold a lot of moisture in here, even with the mulch and the grass clippings. So hopefully this one traps in more moisture. So we have that. And now that I have the garden bed set up, I can rake this yard. Look at this mess. It's not a lot, but I do want to get most of these leaves, and then just dump those leaves in the garden beds. And then my wonderful neighbor gave me 2, 4, 6, and then there's 2 more bags, well, 3 more bags in the garage. So like 8 to 9 bags. There might be another bag in the garage as well. So about 8 to 9 bags of leaves full. But he wants his bags back, so that's interesting. But I'll accommodate because he's been so friendly. So I'm going to dump at least 3 to 4 more of these bags, including the leaves on the ground in the garden beds, just to fill them up to the top. And then next week, I will be emptying out the compost bins and just like layering them underneath the leaves. I'm not going to do that today, but I want to at least have the garden bed situated, and then I'll move the leaves back and just fertilize the garden beds. Cut down the last of the flowers and the garden will now be resting. At least there's still some collards and some southern mustards, but for the most part, the garden will be resting. Let's rake some leaves and dump those in the garden beds, and then I'll show you how that looks. So we have finished the garden beds. I've dumped at least 2 bags of leaves, one in each garden bed, and spread some out through this garden bed here. I am going to finish dumping the leaves into the garden beds. I'm going to put 2 to 3 more in the garage, just to make sure that I have enough for mulch come July and August. Well, June, July, and August, because you'll need mulch around that time. The leaves will probably be gone by then. It'll be nice, thick, fluffy soil. So I'll need mulch, and I'll have 3 to 4 bags in the garage waiting for me in the summer. So I'm going to do that and then go in the house and get something to eat. But as a reminder, go and collect your leaves now. They're a great resource to have. They're great for overwintering your garden, providing much needed nutrients to your soil come spring and the summer, as well as for your earthworms as well. That gives them something to bed under. And it's just good mulch, and it's free versus having to go and pay in bulk for leaf mold, and it's very expensive. So leaves are free. You should go collect those. And if anybody's growing comfrey, make sure that you're cutting the leaves now. Dump them into a bucket, or even just put them in some of your leaf and lawn bags, and put them in your garage as well, because they make really, really great comfrey tea. And that's usually the first type of fertilizer I use in the spring alongside of banana peels to fertilize my young seedlings. So if you do have comfrey leaves, throw them in a bag and put them in your garage now, so that you will have compost and fertilizer in the spring. If, like me, you're no longer purchasing fertilizers. So, and I'm gonna make a video on how I make my own fertilizers and comfrey teas. So that'll be the next one. But anyway, I am about to finish up and go in the house as I'm losing sunlight. But thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day. Peace.